Okay, to go ahead and begin painting your buildings, remember we talked about how we want the brightest, boldest color toward the outside of the circle, which is really where it's closest to the ground where we are standing in this image. So go ahead and load up your brush with whatever color you're going to start on your color wheel. This happens to be where I'm going to paint my yellow section. And you don't have to be super careful around the outside because we're going to cut the circle out, but you don't want to also be a super slob either. You want your brightest, most brilliant color toward the outside of the circle. So you're going to use just little amounts of water and great amounts of pigment or paint from the palette. Then you can go in and add a little more water just to get some of that to start to thin out. Because as colors recede away from us, they get duller, less vibrant, less bright. So in order to do that with our watercolor paint, we're going to add more water to our paint and less pigment or less color from our tray to make it be lighter at the top of the buildings. Now, you do want to be careful that you don't bleed into buildings that are next to each other because there's really not any way that we're going to be able to correct those. It's a little difficult to see on the yellow because yellow is such a light color anyway. But what you can do is in the lid of your palette, as you're mixing and going around your color wheel, you're going to need to mix the colors. So I'm mixing right now a yellow green, which is going to go next to my yellow, and I'm kind of mixing that up using more water, picking up more pigment out of my watercolor tray, mixing it in there, and then at the end of the day we'll just kind of wipe that pigment out of the lid of the tray to kind of clean our palette. But again, we're wanting the most vibrant pigment at the edge of our circle, which is the closest to the ground, which would be the closest to where the viewer or we would be in this image. So again, just kind of filling in with the brightest pigment. And then you'll start to see here in a little bit that I will pick up more water and I will make it so that my yellow green starts to fade out and becomes a lighter yellow green as it recedes away from the ground and up into the sky. So that is where you're going to start adding more water and adding that in. Now, one thing I want to caution you about is I would go around your color wheel first and I would mark in the margin on the outside what color you're going to place where so that you know what color you're painting because you want to paint this in order of the color wheel itself.